morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, great Biafrans and lovers of freedom. This is Radio Biafra HAUSA-SERVICE coming to you through Radio Biafra London. My name remains Mazi Chinedu from our low province of Biafra land. We are here live and direct. Today is the 16th day of July in the year of our Lord 2021. Without wasting much time, we are going direct to the head of the Directorate of States, Mazi Chika Edoziem, to give us the briefing. Mazi, you are welcome. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Mazi Jonathan, and good evening from here. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, and good night to all of you great Biafrans all over the world, depending on your time zone. My name is Mazi Chika Edoziem. I come from Ihe Oma. Ihe Oma is in Olu province of Biafra land. And by the grace of Elohim, the mighty and merciful Chukwu Biama, I serve the indigenous people of Biafra in the Directorate of State as the head of Directorate. Biafrans, I bring you message of goodwill from the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi, Kanu. Despite or irrespective of his condition, irrespective of the tortures that he has been put through and continue to be put through, our leaders' main thought is about the family of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB worldwide. He has all of you in his prayers, that you all may remain resolute, that you all may remain focused, disciplined, and unwavering in our march to freedom and in our struggle to restore and reclaim not only our heritage, but the honor of our people. I will therefore ask all of you to, as well as Onyendu has you in his prayers, we as well must have him in our daily prayers. I am quite aware, very much aware of the expectations of our people as it concerns our struggle for freedom. I am also aware of their expectations on the leadership of the indigenous people of Biafra worldwide. I wish to state that the Directorate of State of the indigenous people of Biafra is working assiduously and in consonance, in tune, in agreement with IPOB's fundamental principles, policies, and objectives. This Directorate of State, which our leader Mazi and Kanu put together, we shall not deviate one bit from any of these fundamental principles and policies and objectives because they are the soul of our movement and of our struggle. It is therefore in this regard that I will be holding a meeting with IPOB USA principal servants on the 25th of July 2021. I repeat, I will be holding a very important meeting with myself and of course some members of the directorate, with the IPOB USA principal servants, and those who will be invited to that meeting will of course be properly informed. The continental rep for North America will be instructed on the details for this very meeting. And while I am on USA, it is very, very saddening that we seem to ignore the precarious situation which this family is presently in. It seems that we probably did not quite comprehend that this moment is a moment in which we must put all our energy together and use that energy to pursue anyone to get us distracted. Every effort is being made and must continue to be made, because the single most important thing that we have to do, that this great family need to do, is to ensure that we focus on making sure that the health of the leader of this great movement, Nnamdi Kanu, is not in any way jeopardized while he remains in the custody of the Zoological Republic of Nigeria. And we cannot, by our own selves, we must not, by our own selves, contribute to a situation that will, even if in a very little way, complicate his very serious health situation. This very movement must all join hands together to ensure that our leader is a free man at the shortest possible time from this day forward. Our lawyers are doing excellently well, and our diplomatic engagement is also running smoothly. Our civil disobedience is being heard all over the world. Therefore, every person who sees himself in a position of service to the Biafran people, you must disregard anything, whatever that may be, that will dissipate our energies and strength from focusing on what is very, very essential today for us as IPOB family members. Our leader is in the hands of the enemy. Many of you, or some of you, who have been coming online and writing things, or even having their programs, live programs, you may have some genuine complaint. You may have a very cogent reason why you feel that something has gone wrong somewhere. Yes, you may have it. But I want to tell you that this very moment is not the appropriate time to deal on some of these matters, because the directorate will not for any reason, abandon our work to get our leader out of the hands of the wicked, out of the hands of the enemy. We cannot abandon our responsibility to ensure that his health is not in any manner jeopardized while dealing with some of these issues that are being raised on social media or that are being sent around to family members. I therefore appeal to those of you in USA, please do not aggravate the situation of our leader while he remains in the hands of the enemy. I will make this appeal this last once, and I believe we all understand what is confronting us, and we all must put our hands together to ensure that Oyendu is with us the soonest. The indigenous people of Biafra, we are a race under severe threat of extinction. We all know this. Many of us have witnessed it. Many have experienced it personally. The Nigerian government is very actively eliminating Biafran youth faster than any disease or natural cause can. And when we see these things, we still do not understand that we must pull in one direction. We must unify our front. We must not allow the enemy to come into us or in our midst and cause havoc. Because from north to south, east to west, our youths are being massacred. They are being not just tortured, they are being given the most inhuman treatment one can imagine. Of course, when our leader is out, we will hear the true fact and the true events from him. Be aware that most of these clandestine and covert killings, they happen, and many of them, majority of them, are not heard about. When our killers get emboldened by the actions or lack of faith that is coming from those who self-acclaimed themselves to be political leaders from Biafra land, elders, religious leaders, when our killers observe that these people, they cannot do anything, they cannot say anything, these killers lose every sense of pretense and commit these murders then in the open. Ladipo Market is not an isolation. Ladipo Market, where I'm not quite sure how many, but a number of Biafrans were killed. For what reason? It happened in Enugu just this past month. Cold-blooded murder of Biafran people. And you have leaders. You have leaders, they have gone quiet. They can see nothing, they can say nothing. The only person who spoke, continued to speak, and will continue to speak and defend the rights of Biafran people is at this moment in the hands of the enemy. And some of us are dissipating their strength and their energy in writing and diverting our attention. Please advise yourself very properly. Advise yourself very properly so that we can focus on what needs to be done. Your leaders, so-called, they have become blind, deaf, and dumb all at the same time because they have conveniently decided to see nothing. They have decided to hear nothing. They have decided to say nothing while their supposed people, the constituencies from where they took off to become political leaders, or the constituencies where they rule or lead as traditional rulers or PGs, are going through unimaginable and barbaric, inhuman torture. They cannot help any of you. They have no desire. They have no intention. They do not have the balls to help us, Biafran people. Therefore, the only person who can help us is our leader, Nnamdi Kanu, and we must do everything within human and spiritual power to ensure that he rejoins this family sooner than later. Now, to the ongoing efforts by the Zoo government to compromise, this is what they know. Corruption is the second name of the Zoological Republic of Nigeria. They are going about compromising people in Biafra land. They are going about calling our elders to nocturnal meetings. They are going about inviting our market leaders to clandestine meetings, to bribe them, to throw some change to them. And you have to ask yourself where the change is coming from, where these monies are coming from. These are funds, money that was taken from your land, and you are being compromised by just giving you a little bit of what belongs to you. Those of you that has been approached by the agents of the Nigerian government, you know yourselves. You know yourselves. You are therefore advised to retrace your steps, because the spirit of our departed heroes and the land of Biafra shall visit you. It's a promise I'm making, and I'm saying it here live on Radio Biafra worldwide, that if the politicians in Biafra land, the elders in Biafra land, the PGs in Biafra land, if you do not retrace your steps now that you have the time, the spirit of our departed heroes and the land of Biafra shall visit not only you, but your family and your generation with a terrible vengeance. And again, to the Nigerian government and the Kenyan government, including individuals directly involved in the betrayal and extraordinary rendition of our leader, I give you hereby notice that you shall surely pay a huge, huge price for that crime at our own time and at the place of our own choosing. The price must and will be paid. It does not matter how long it takes. But this crime must be properly situated, and I'll leave it at that. Let me remind and let me encourage us again to continue our reading of the Psalms, because Elohim will surely deliver our leader and the Biafran people from the snares of the wicked and the evil ones, those within and amongst us and those without. Your wicked and evil plans shall come to nothing. Biafrans, I want to borrow from the words of one of our sisters who just wrote that Onyendu Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is our leader. There is no discussion, and Biafra is our destination. Remain disciplined in your area of duty, in your area of responsibility. Principal officers, if you are not a coordinator, if you are not an administrative officer, do not meddle into affairs of coordination or administration. If you are not a coordinator, do not meddle into the issues of coordination. There are those whose responsibility it is to deal with it. If there are issues, if there are ideas you have, suggestions you wish to make, please follow the proper channel and pass your idea or your suggestions across, and it will be taken care of. Let me end this very evening broadcast by saying that Biafra is our homeland. Biafra is our identity, and Biafra is our religion. And Chukwokike, the all-merciful Elohim, to whom alone worship belongs, is whom we worship. I thank you all, great Biafrans, wherever you are tonight, and I encourage you to remain steadfast. I encourage you to remain focused. Above all, I encourage you to remain disciplined, for without discipline, we cannot win this war, which has been brought upon us. But I trust what our leader has put in place. I trust what he has imbibed in us. And I know that we will not disappoint him. Very key. We must not disappoint Onyendu Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of this great movement. Therefore, I commend him and commit him into the hands of merciful Chukwu Kabiama Promihenine, that he may continue to empower him and fill him with his spirit, with understanding, with wisdom, to lead us into a free, independent, and sovereign Biafran nation. May Chukwu Abiyama guide all of you, and may Chukwu Abiyama be with all of you. From me, from here, I wish to say good night to you, and thank you so much for listening.
freedom. Africa. Cause we can never let them negotiate our freedom, no. Hundreds of years is gone. No Messiah came for the black man. Told us that Jesus died for the black man still they suffer. The truth be said, Africa will rise at the right time. And the time we're waiting for is right now. No one can hold the truth for a long time. Oh no. So stay awake. The sun is risen from the east. And the Messiah you wait is right here. And no one is gonna try to stop that. I can hear a great call for justice. Freedom. Let the sun rise. Freedom for Biafra. Freedom. Free Nnamdi Kanu. Oh, song of salvation. Freedom. Let Africa rise. Freedom for Biafra. Freedom. Free Nnamdi Kanu. Self-determination is celebrated. Black men seeking for self-determination is the separatist and the terrorist. Yeah. When they jail a black freedom fighter, they jailing African freedom. Don't I have rights to my self-determination? Is that a crime? Oh no. Don't I have rights to live? Don't I have rights to express myself? Don't I have rights to speak? Can't I complain if I'm marginalized? There's genocide in the land that nobody even cared about. Even when I try to speak, my voice is muted every time. Like a slave in my land, I can't take it anymore. I hope the world is listening to my plight. I can hear a great call for justice. Freedom, let the sun rise. Freedom for Biafra. Freedom, free Nnamdi Kanu. Oh, the song of salvation. Freedom, let Africa rise. Freedom for Biafra. Freedom, free Nnamdi Kanu.
Barrister Aloy Ejimako, thank you for your time with us today.
It's my pleasure having you.
Make I just start by asking this question. You don't see Nnamdi Kanu?
Yes, I met him yesterday for almost 3 hours at the headquarters of the DSS in Abuja. And we had quite an interaction, private interaction initially, and later on he was interviewed
by 3 DSS officers in my presence. I wanted to call it an interrogation, but they said no, it's an interview, during which they asked him routine questions, but most of the questions centered on his being the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra and the activities of that organization. So he answered the questions in a relaxed atmosphere, with bearing in mind his constitutional rights not to incriminate himself. Of course, some of the questions had background information that he considered incomplete, and he told the officers that he was not able to answer some of those questions because the information that they supplied to him was incomplete.
If you describe to us when you see Nnamdi Kanu, how he be, what's in his state of mind?
Well, his state of mind wasn't as sound as it should be. You know, if you listen to his broadcast, you would know that he's a historian. But when I was talking with him, he had trouble recalling the actual date he was abducted. It surprised me. So to jog his memory, I asked him how many nights he spent in Abuja before he was brought to court. He told me 2 nights. So he was brought to court on Tuesday, the 29th June. So we figured he must have been brought into the country on Sunday, the 27th. So when I mentioned that date, he said, sure, that's the date. But I took particular note of that. I also noticed that he had a visible injury on his right wrist. I asked him what it was. He said it was where they had chained him, put the chain on him, and chained him to the concrete floor in Nairobi, Kenya. And he has disappearing injury on the left wrist and an injury right here at the nape of the neck. He appears like somebody who has been mentally traumatized, you know, so he's unwilling to talk about one or two things until you prompt him. Like when I prompted him about the date, that's the conclusion I drew, how many nights he spent in Abuja.
Is he afraid?
No, he's not. He's traumatized.
If you tell us more about what's happened, because you just mentioned Kenya, and Kenyan government don't come out to talk, say, they no arrest Nnamdi Kanu for Kenya. So tell us more about this.
What happened is this. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu entered Kenya, I believe, on a certain date, right around April this year. I'm not sure. I'm trying to establish the actual date of entry. But I have documentation from a Kenyan hospital that placed him in Kenya as of 14th April this year, 14th May. So he entered Kenya.
And what did he do for Kenya hospital?
He went there because he had issues with his heart. He felt he wasn't well. So he went there, he was examined, and the diagnosis was hypertension and heart murmur. They made prescriptions for him, and my examination of the medical report indicated medications for heart and controlling blood pressure. So apparently he entered Kenya before the 14th May this year. So he had settled in at a location in Nairobi, a temporary location, and he entered with his passport. That day, on the fateful day, that was on I believe on the 19th, yes, not believe, certain, 100%. He drove himself to the airport from his temporary location in Kenya. He drove to Jomo Kenyatta International and went into the garage, the underground garage, to pick up a visitor flying in from outside. Okay, that is not necessary for this discussion, the identity or whatever. So the moment he got into the parking lot, the garage, a group of several men well armed to the teeth.
And this now waiting Nnamdi Kanu tell you about everything you remember of waiting happened before they bring him to Nigeria.
This is what he told me, and his recollection of this was very, very lucid and clear.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, so now they swooped on him. They gathered and grabbed him, okay, in a very physical, rough way, and he raised the lamp. Luckily for him, there were a few people that were there, and the people wanted to intervene in terms of really very aggressive intervention, because to them, I asked them why they would consider making an aggressive intervention when something that seemed law enforcement was happening. He said perhaps they didn't believe it was normal. So the people that were abducting him told everybody to stay clear, that this person you're looking at is a Nigerian terrorist who assists the Al-Shabaab terrorists in Kenya. They grabbed him, put him in their car, and left, and took him to a private residence, not an official detention facility, where they chained him to the floor. For most of the 8 days he spent there, and they really tortured him, thinking he was Al-Shabaab. So he kept telling them he wasn't Al-Shabaab. He had nothing to do with Al-Shabaab. He kept telling them who he was.
Who be these people?
Well, I asked him who they are. He told me they are Kenyan security officials. I asked him why. He said the insignia, the carriage, that he had arrived Kenya, so he had a bit knowledge of the terrain and how the law enforcement functions and the sort of things they wear, how, that they were brazen with weapons openly. It couldn't have been private parties or some rogue agents doing that. He told me that the thing has a 100% degree of officialdom to it. So they took him to that location, and they were torturing him, and I'm sorry to say they really beat him a lot. So, but at some point when he was trying to explain himself, he told me he was blindfolded most of the time, chained to the floor, bare floor.
But the Kenyan government don't clearly talk, say they don't get hand for this, and they don't arrest Nnamdi Kanu for the ground. And also the federal government never come out to talk anything about where your client, where they arrest your client from.
Okay. You see, it's not going to be a question of he said, she said. I'm a lawyer. I operate on the basis of independent and credible evidence. The Kenyan High Commissioner might have sounded credible to the general public, but the information available to me can impeach every single word she uttered, including the denial that came from the home government. I have immigration stamp placing Nnamdi Kanu in Kenya just 2 months before his abduction. I have medical evidence placing him at a Kenyan hospital. Okay? And I have his own word. He's a man of sound mind.
And what's in your client Nnamdi Kanu tell you about how they move him from Kenya, as you talk, say, tell you, to Nigeria?
Yes. You see, he said on the fateful day, that was the 27th on Sunday, 27 June, they drove him in a car to Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, blindfolded him, and bundled him inside a private jet, like a Learjet. I asked him if it's a Boeing 777, so whatever, or Airbus, the big ships. He said no, it's a normal private jet that you often would see some people owning private jet, that kind of size. And he was the lone passenger in that jet, in that plane, and he didn't clear immigration. They drove him straight, on the tarmac, straight to the plane and very close to the plane, and put him inside the plane with Nigerian security officials, and left about 12 noon in the afternoon, and landed Nigeria same day in the evening, around something after 4 or to 5.
Make we talk about the trial we go begin again on the 26th of July. Yes. How prepared Nnamdi for that trial?
Well, we are, but there's not going to be any trial. There's going to be trial within trial. What happened to Nnamdi Kanu is, by legal definition, worldwide legal definition, what is called extraordinary rendition. It's a state crime. It's a crime by the state. If a private individual abducts or violently and illegally seizes another individual, it's called kidnapping, and is in some jurisdictions, is a capital offense. When state does it, it's called extraordinary rendition. That's what happened. So if you rendered or you renditioned a fugitive or a suspect, you have lost jurisdiction to try that suspect because he committed an international crime. You broke your own laws. You broke the laws of this third state from which territory you renditioned that individual. And you broke the laws of the second state of nationality of that individual. That is what is playing out here, because we have three divergent but also compliant jurisdictions. The three jurisdictions here, Nigeria, Kenya, and UK, their laws prohibit extraordinary rendition.
Okay, so they've been calls don't come from different quarters, from different groups, say the federal government must handle this case on the fair note, that the trial must happen, Nnamdi Kanu trial must happen on the fair note. Does this make you optimistic?
Fair trial?
That Nnamdi Kanu must have a fair trial?
You see, there is it's an oxymoron. It's a contradiction to say that a jurisdiction that broke the laws of three countries and the international law, that's the fourth component, to bring a suspect before that jurisdiction should be expected to give fair trial to such individual. But like I said, we haven't even gotten to that bridge yet. When we get to the bridge of whether he's going to get fair trial or not, we are going to ventilate it. The bridge we have to cross first is the bridge of testing the impact of the jurisdiction of Nigeria to try Nnamdi Kanu for any criminal offenses stemming from the extraordinary rendition.
It's M. Josh.